Coming up in today's show, it's our Game of the Year so far episode, and our picks might surprise you. What's good, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the What's Good Games podcast, your source for video game news, commentary, analysis, and funny stuff every Friday. I am Andrea Renee, joined by Miss Riana Manuel Pena.
Hello.
And Miss Brittany Brombacher.
Hello.
I like it. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate and love your support, like our Patreon producers for the month, Chewy's Godson, Alex Rigopulos, Faris Attieh, Justin Foshee, Matthew Goderre, and, of course, Mr. Punkdefied. Thank you, one, and thank you all. And thank you to everybody at patreon.com/whatsgoodgames, where you can support our show and our voices in video games. As I mentioned, it's our Game of the Year so far episode, so we won't really be talking about any video game news, and good thing, because there's not really anything super huge happening, at least.
Skull and Bones, Andrea, come on.
Hey, it's on my awaited list, you know?
Do you want to know about those Skull and Bones?
Do you, though?
I'm excited.
Are you still interested, legitimately?
I think I have to be at this point. Now I'm committed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm curious. Like, we've been doing a lot of, like, flirting across the bar. You know, and I feel like there's a little spark of something there. And now they're about to peace out. I'm like, nah, I got to go home with you. I got to know what you're all about.
So you're
That's
about
me and
to buy
Bones.
Skull and Bones a drink, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Actually, that's exactly it. I'm going to buy them a drink.
Buy them a drink.
I mean, we're all thinking of it, right?
Yeah.
It's all in your head now. Just enjoy it. I want to say that this episode is also brought to you by MeUndies and HelloFresh, but we'll tell you more about that in just a minute, because, Brittany, it looks like we have a lovely new podcast reviewer.
We do. Oh, no, the Muppets out. All right, this comes from Bog Nibbly. I just like Bog Nibbly.
I like it. I like it.
Okay. Bog Nibbly left us a very kind review, and the review is, I've been listening to WGG since day one, and every week you remind me how important reviews are, and every week I don't take your advice and leave a review. Well, I can now proudly say I've left my review. Only the coolest people listen to the coolest podcasts around me by the coolest ladies in the biz.
Aw, thanks, Bog Nibbly. We appreciate it.
I gotta know the meaning of this name. Bog Nibbly, can you write us an email or something? I just
Contact
know,
at whatsgoodgames.com.
Are you nibbling on a bog? Like, how does one even do that? Who could say? Maybe you know. Maybe that's why your name is Bog Nibbly.
Maybe
I'm done.
the bug is nibbly and it's like a new adjective for like a weather pattern that we don't know about.
Ooh,
Like
interesting.
nibbly? But maybe,
Nibbly.
but nibbly. Ooh.
Ooh, look at that.
See,
guy.
I think bog, and I think like bog of eternal stench from Labyrinth.
Oh.
Oh,
Like maybe that's where this name comes from. See, this is why it's important. If you have yet to leave a 5-star review, we can dissect the meaning of your name by us calling out your review on the show. So if you have
fun
yet to
game.
leave a review, like Bog Nibbly was, biding their time, now is the moment, and it helps us out a lot. So thank you to everybody who has taken the time to leave a review for the show so far. And if you also have not and you would like to, we'd really appreciate the support. We have a really fun episode, and Rihanna, I'm glad that you're here. I know that we were just talking before the show started about how we haven't really officially reminded everybody that she's back, everybody. So Rihanna's going to be with us every week for the foreseeable future. We will have you on board for as long as we can have you. So it's so good to have you here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be back. I've missed y'all. Like, I love our little conversations and our impromptu songs and all of our gaseous fumes.
And Brittany just, casually drinking whiskey straight from the bottle as per usual.
liquid of the gods, ladies.
So good. I do feel like I need to send you like a set of glasses that you can just leave in the studio. Maybe disposable ones. So you don't have to worry about washing them. You just one and done it.
You know, you could. They're still just going to sit here. I appreciate it. I've had people send me glasses before because they couldn't handle me just drinking I would drink out of wine glasses and shit.
I mean, I can handle you drinking straight from the bottle. I just didn't think it was comfortable for you.
Oh, fuck, it's the best. I have no silverware or dishware to deal with after silverware. Why would I need silverware if I'm drinking from
That's
the
a
bottle?
great question.
A spoon?
Take a spoon, just pour my whiskey into a spoon and sip it like the grandma's soup. Anyway, I digress. Don't send me glasses. I won't use them.
Okay.
And they'll
Noted.
just stay dirty.
I will not send you any
thank you.
glasses.
Just face it. It's an arm workout, right? Just kind of like a little press.
Yeah,
Technically.
and the best part is the more I drink, the easier it gets, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
It's not as heavy anymore.
You know,
Yeah.
mentally and physically.
I think that bottle is going to be done by the end of this episode.
Yeah. I mean,
I
if it
see.
is, I've had a good time. There's a good shot and a half in here. And I
Yeah?
just drank about a shot worth, so.
I'm about halfway
Hey.
through my little tea mug, which does not have tea in it. So
But you got Hot Dog Man on the cup.
I do work hard, Mr. B.
Yeah. Shout out
Yes.
to Life is Strange. Raise
Ah.
Roof. And I just have our, classic What's Good Games wine
Nice.
fairy glasses. So,
With
What wine
the
are you
non-meltable cubes.
yes. Even though I have no problem putting actual meltable cubes in my ice, there was a time in my life. Surprising, I know, Andrea having particular feelings about how people drink their wine. who would have imagined that?
Never our
Ah.
opinionated baby girl.
I
Never.
know. That I was like, oh my gosh, they're putting ice in the wine. Why? Don't put ice in the wine. That's bad. And now,
Yeah.
12 months into having a child, I'm like, I'm going to put ice in whatever the fuck I want to put ice in. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I'm angry most of the time. No, that's not true.
That's okay.
But like, if I want to put ice in my wine, I'm gonna put ice in my wine. If I'm gonna put ice in my beer, I'm gonna put ice in my beer. And I was like,
Yeah.
why was I such a turd about it before?
Our lives are
Because you
so
had
much
time.
smaller. Yeah, exactly. Our worlds were smaller and we had the time, Andrea. That's
Yes.
what it was.
Yes. So
Yeah.
if I was ever a turd to you about it, I apologize. I should not have been. I should have been like, you enjoy your beverage with ice in it, even if that beverage is not supposed to have ice in it. It's okay.
Yeah.
As long as you bought it for yourself, that's fine. You know, it's your
But don't
money.
you dare offer it to her. No.
Well, I mean, like, if I bought somebody a really like expensive glass of champagne, and then they're like, "Can I put an ice cube in it?" I'd be like, maybe not the Louis, you know. But like, you could do it, and I'd kind of wince a little bit, and then be like, "It's fine. You enjoy." It's fine. Anyway, I digress. We got down a little bit of a tangent here. We are here to talk about video games that we think are contenders for Game of the Year. And we do this episode every year, and so we're super excited to be doing it again because this year has been an interesting one. We actually were just remarking that it feels a little bit like a vacuum year. Desert feels just a little dry. There's obviously a couple big contenders, as there usually are by this time. But some years, there's a lot of contenders. And this year just feels like, well, the things coming down the road at the end of the year, one, are not confirmed or guaranteed because it feels like anybody and everybody is delaying their stuff these days. But also, it's like, I don't know. I think we already have the Game of the Year winner already.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. And obviously we're talking about Rune Factory 5, ladies and gentlemen. This is a superb game in all aspects. Obviously we're talking about Elden Ring. And the only thing I think that could dethrone that and sway would be God of War Ragnarok.
Right.
Yes.
A lot of people are sleeping on that bad boy. I even tweeted about this back in the day. I was like, yo, everyone's saying Elden Ring is to be Game of the Year. You guys forget about God of War. And then, of course, all this shit about, it's going to be delayed. Whatever. That's a conversation for another time, though, because we don't have a date yet, you know?
Yeah, we don't. I would like to see it come out before the holiday. Obviously, I have been eager and anxious to play that game like everybody else is. But I also think that Sony first party with Horizon out this year doesn't need to put that game out, right? They could easily wait and put it out in Q1 and, have it compete against the behemoths that are coming out next year. For Game of the Year.
Lord.
I mean, I
That
hope
would
it
be a
comes out this
conversation.
year, but I do think that you're right that, in the kind of macro sense that God of War is like the unknown of, what could compete with Elden Ring, even though there are plenty of other really wonderful games that came out, which we're going to talk about. So as we do, we're going to start with January, kind of look at what came out, what we think is a Game of the Year contender, and then kind of work our way to present day. So we have the January release list up. And when you look at January, it's a whole lot of nothing.
Well, we
A
had
lot of
Pokemon
ports.
Legends.
Yeah.
Oh, what'd you say, baby girl?
I was just gonna say a lot of ports, a lot of,
Oh,
yes.
additional console releases.
Yeah, the biggest release was Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Correct.
Now, if you ask me, no, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna fucking rant. I'm not gonna do it. Okay, so I polled our community and I was like, hey everybody, what's your game of the year so far for this year? And the fucking Nintendo, why the fuck did they botch their goddamn most precious IPs? I don't understand it. I don't want to say it's freaking botched, but it was like, yo, get past the second part. If you don't like it, it's not for you. I don't even have the gusto to get past the first part. Okay? I don't like playing my game and watch every single blade of grass pop in. Why? Why would you? Okay, anyway, 3.6 of our community said that Pokemon Legends Arceus was their game of the year, a very, very surprising low number, especially considering the amount of hype that was behind this one. From everything we saw, it looked fairly promising. I remember when I first saw the trailer for Pokemon Legends Arceus, it was leaked, and we were getting the official reveal later that day. I was sleeping in our theater room at the time in our house because our bathroom was being remodeled. We couldn't sleep in there. I was very pregnant. Anyway, I woke Jason up. I was like, oh my God, this game, our open world Pokemon game, it's manifested. It's actually happening. And yeah, it turned out to be nothing like that. So obviously for me, I've made it very obvious and clear in my kind rants on the show that Arceus to me was just a very big letdown. But a lot of people really love it. If you go through the Pokemon Reddit, a lot of folks are going to say it's their favorite Pokemon game of all time. And that's wonderful. And this is where I would go down another rant, but I'm not going to. So anyway, yeah, not a lot of this game is not in a lot of conversations. I don't know how you could vote for this game from a critical perspective for being a game of the year. There's just, and there's a conversation there. Like, how do you judge a game fairly based off of the limitations of one hardware compared to the next? Like, I could say Pokemon Legends Arceus looks nothing like Horizon Forbidden West. Now, is that a fair judgment considering Nintendo's hardware can't handle the stuff like Horizon can, right? But at the same time, there's just so many weird design choices in this game, and don't build it if your hardware can't handle it. And so I think that's kind of a design flaw, and I'm just going to stop right there. I have to stop. I have to.
Okay, you can stop. And we appreciate and remind you that this is a safe space to rant in. If you want to rant about Pokemon, you can, because we know that you are a diehard Pokemon lover and you will always love Pokemon. I mean, your baby's nursery was Pokemon themed. He ate a Pokeball cake for his first cake.
He did.
Right?
I
So,
love
like,
Pokemon.
no one's doubting that you love Pokemon like the rest of them. But, it's okay to be upset at the thing that you love. We talk about this.
Yeah.
That's
We can
fine.
talk about it. But anyway, I would say that's probably one of the contenders, and I think we'll see it nominated for one of the typical award
RPG category, probably.
Yeah,
right?
RPG category. Yeah. I think, it probably, well, then see Pokemon, it's going up against Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and that's going to be an interesting one. But we'll have to see.
I
where it
always
lands.
think that the RPG category is such a crapshoot because so many games are RPGs, but
Yeah.
they're action RPGs or combat RPGs, and it feels like the RPG category is becoming way more narrowly defined than it should be, and I don't know how we can expand it without it being just like a behemoth category, right? It feels like everyone wants their game to be an RPG.
Yeah, there's RPG elements in almost every game I've played this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And most of them are not considered RPGs.
No.
It's tough.
Yeah, it was interesting January because we knew that it wasn't going to be a really big month, but I was looking forward to and had fun with Rainbow Six Extraction. We played a little bit together, but that game just didn't quite hit for me the way that I was hoping it would. But fun game, definitely not, I think, in contention for Game of the Year at all. But then February came along, and now we've got some people throwing their weight around. February, I think the big standout first was Dying Light 2 Stay Human, even though we at What's Good Games, kind of felt a little contentious with it. I think that had a lot to do with us, again, playing early, playing while there were still a bunch of bugs. And I think that game was maybe, the victim of its own ambition. But that doesn't mean that there's not a great game in there. In the same vein of like a Days Gone, right? Like it clearly had some issues, but there's still some really great design work in there.
Yeah, I mean, I have a list of my own right here called, let me pull it up. We live in a dark timeline, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm not writing these games off entirely, but and Dying Light 2 is on there as is Pokemon. If you would have asked me beginning, I mean, I'm sure last year I talked all about, well, we didn't know Pokemon existed, but Dying Light 2 we definitely knew existed, and I thought
Yes.
that could very well be my game of the year this year. And it just, for me, again, it fell flat. And again, like you said, I think a victim of its own ambition. We were all very, very hyped for this, but I think when it came out, it just, for some reason, and I can't quite put my finger on why, it just did not grab me, didn't hook me, nor Jason, which is just wild because the first Dying Light is one of our all-time favorite co-op games to play together. And I think the team at Techland is very talented, but where there's smoke, there's fire, and there were lots of reports of some development hell, and it just seemed like some pieces of this game didn't come together, I think, in the way they anticipated. All that said, since we have played it and stopped playing, I know a lot of patches and upgrades have come to it. So I do want to revisit it at some point. But yeah, like I just, I'm just really sad that this one wasn't like the sequel I was hoping it would be. But some games just speak to you and some don't, sequel or not. And I think this is just what happened here. So
Yeah, I had a similar experience with one from February that was on my list of most anticipated when we did our end of the year episodes a couple months ago. And that was Sifu. And I
yeah.
was so hyped for Sifu. Like, Slow Clap did a really great job rolling it out. Like, it looked really
Yeah.
interesting. Like, very different, type of combat. I'm still, my heart beats for Hades. And so I'm looking for another roguelike experience in that same vein. But this was a very different take on it, a very different art style. And I was really excited about how deep the mechanics seemed to go, even though they're very simple. And the reviving mechanic where you go up in age and then therefore experience and effectiveness, but then you're a little bit more frail, more brittle, more easily taken down as you revive using your chain of coins. It was really cool and very original. And then I tried to play it and it was super hard. It's funny because it's very similar in a lot of ways to another game that's on all of our, game of the year watch lists, Elden Ring. And in the way that it is very challenging and originally very uncompromising about that level of challenge, which was part of the design. And I absolutely respect that. I would never tell a game designer to change the way they want to present their art. However, it made it hard for me to play and I'd stopped playing. And so, there's that tricky balance between challenge and original intent and accessibility that all creators need to be aware of. And for me, unfortunately, I was just on the wrong side of it for Sifu when it came out. Now, Brittany, similar to how you're speaking about Dying Light, it seems like there may be some additional features that would make it more enjoyable for a player like me who maybe isn't great at combat games. It
Yeah,
just
they
really
did
wants to go through
update
the
it.
story.
They did update it with some new difficulty options. So I think they called it student, master, and that slows down the aging, et cetera, et cetera. Because I remember when
Mhm.
you were talking about Sifu, and before then I hadn't touched Elden Ring, so I was like super like, oh, I don't want to play anything difficult. Now that I kicked Renala's ass a couple nights ago, I'm feeling very froggy, ladies, and I'm feeling like I
Nice.
could probably hop into some Sifu, but
Oh.
I absolutely would be using the student mode. Like, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the student mode is made for folks like us, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I think there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I want to experience the art and the design and the story of this game, but I don't want the frustration. And I think that it's great when games give gamers options to say, hey, we want people who are looking for that challenge to be able to get it. But we also want people who maybe for whatever reason, whether it be like an actual like a time commitment thing, like you have family and you don't have time to like play through it all, or if you have an accessibility issue or a disability that prevents you from being able to play the game the way the designers originally designed it. I think there's nothing wrong with saying like make it for as many people as possible. And I'm frustrated by the fact that we keep having this conversation over and over again, and I never want it to be construed with letting creators create and letting them have their art. But I think that we're at a crossroads of art and technology where like both can exist. Like you can have your art and make it like a crazy shmup bullet hell that is insane and impossible to beat, but also have like an invincibility setting for people who want to experience the game, that for them to be able to toggle that on so that they can play. Like this is why I keep always going back to Celeste as such a like chef's kiss example of brilliant game design that is brutally hard in its original form, but also is so accessible for people to turn on whatever toggles they want to be able to experience the wonderful music and the story and the level design of that game. But I digress. We're not talking about Celeste. We're talking about games in 2022 in February. And the game that I want to talk about is my favorite game of the year so far, Horizon Forbidden West. You guys knew that this was going to be my favorite game. I was super excited about it. It was my most anticipated game for the year. I loved the original Zero Dawn. And even though Brittany dragged her feet for literally years to play that game, she came around.
Oh, God, it was so good.
Yeah.
So good. Thank you again, Andrea and Steimer, and I think Alexis, you at the time, for talking so highly of it back in the day, because I did remember that. You know, I have not finished Forbidden West, and I'm so sad about it because Jason played it after me, and he finished it before I did, and I feel like that's just like a crime. I feel like my pride is damaged.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You lose a gamer point for that.
Yeah. So I asked our patrons, thanks Free for rubbing it salt in the wound. Patreon.com/what'sgoodgames. I asked our community, like, yo, what's your favorite game of the year so far? And we got a lot of folks, actually in our total community, 35.7%. I love the accuracy of our community said, 32.9% said Horizon Forbidden West was their favorite game. 35.7% said Elden Ring was their favorite game. So I thought it was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be, and it just made me very happy. But anyway, talking about Horizon Forbidden West, patron Valerie Freeman said, I'm confident my game of the year will be Horizon Forbidden West. I absolutely love the story and the world and the characters, not to mention those beautiful graphics, chef's kiss, and the gameplay was so fun, I played through it twice. And then Gabe Hewitt said, Forbidden West improved so much from the first game and added enough new gameplay features to solidify it as the best game I'll play all year and one of my favorite games of all time. And even Craig on Twitter said, you know, friend of the show, Craig said, yeah, it's like one of my favorite games of all time now. I think that's so cool. Like, I love that. And anyway, that's all I have to say about Horizon Forbidden West. I fucking love that game, but I stopped playing because I'm a fucking chump.
You're not a chump. Like, you got things going on called baby. And like that's just like where we're at, right? Is like you have to kind of really pick and choose. And for me, I decided to forego sleep for almost 3 weeks. And like it took a toll on me. It really did, because I was like, I have a limited amount of time to play this game, but I wanted very bad to keep playing. So I was like, I have two options. I can either play this game in like 2-hour chunks every day and it will take me like 2 months to finish, or I have to stay up until 2, 3, 4 a.m. every day and then get up with a baby.
And you were smart. You mainlined it too.
And do it. So I did. And I got to a certain point in the story where I was taking my sweet time. I was doing side missions. I was exploring. I was unlocking all of my stuff. Excuse me. And then I was like, when the reviews came out, because, you know, thank you again to PlayStation for obviously giving us advanced access to the game, which really helped in us being able to cover it. But when the reviews came out and I realized that everybody had finished the game, I was like, how did everybody finish this game? I'm like 45 hours or almost 50 hours in, and I feel like I'm halfway through the story, and everyone's like, I beat the game. And I was like, what? So, excuse me. So I went to go mainline it, and I remember talking about this in the episode when we, you know, gave our like air quotes review impressions of the game, where I had to beeline through the fog of war on the map. And I kept seeing all of these things, and I was like, no, focus, tunnel vision, put the blinders on, and just keep running towards the next objective marker and don't stop. And I had to do that all the way. And so when you looked, I think I took a screenshot of my game map after I did that. And it's just like all fog of war, except for this one line of me going all the way to the far side of the map where like the next major story beat was happening. And I was like, dude, I don't know how people finish this game in less than 50 hours. Because
No.
I think my total time, and I haven't even finished the game yet, like completed all of the stuff. Because if everyone recalls, the only platinum I've ever gotten on my PlayStation was Horizon Zero Dawn. But then I saw everything that I have to do for the platinum in Forbidden West, and I was like, well, I don't have the time that I used to have, that I can get around to it maybe eventually. And I would like to be able to, because I love living and breathing in that world, because it's just so beautiful. And I have so many wonderful things to say about it. But Ree, I would love to hear your thoughts on Horizon.
I really loved Horizon. I liked Zero Dawn, and I really love the world building more than I would say any other aspect. Obviously, it has incredible combat, really great original type of enemies, and different fighting styles with Aloy and her arsenal. However, what I was really intrigued by was the story and how it would continue, especially after the ending that we had in Zero Dawn. So
Mhm.
Forbidden West for me was just a really great opportunity to jump back in this world of storytelling, and I thought it absolutely delivered. I don't want to get too deep into things because, as you said, it's a pretty long game, and spoilers happen pretty early on. We'll be seeing one here in the the B-roll, but I thought it was really fascinating just to get an idea of how connected this world is to ours, and really digging deeper into that. And so that's really what drove me to keep trying to play, but again, just like you two, I was very busy end of February, getting married, moving houses. There's
Yeah.
a lot going
Adult
on.
shit.
So, I wasn't able to get through as much as I wanted to, but it's definitely still on my list to go back and complete. So I'm really happy that people are so jazzed on it. And Britt, as you mentioned, that it's only a couple of percentage points behind Elden Ring, which is, of course, the behemoth that, the year has given us, because it really does deserve that place of honor, right? Like, there's so
Mhm.
much work that the team has put into it. It's clearly paid off. They've made so many quality of life adjustments to just even the UI, or like switching weapons, and it's a joy to play. It's one of those games where, as you said, Andrea, as you live and breathe in that world, you just enjoy your time there.
Yeah.
I think
Sorry,
the
no, go ahead,
thing-
Britt.
Okay, real quick. The thing that I also just, that phrase that people say, I'm going to butcher it because that's what I do. Like, they won't remember, like, whatever. They'll just remember the way it made you feel. Like, whatever
Hmm.
that saying. That's how I am with video games lately, because I feel like my memory has just absolutely, like, gone to fucking shit ever since I had my kid. Hello, mom brain. It's a thing. But, like, I think about experiences that I've had with games, and that's kind of my case with Horizon. Like, I remember, like, of course, the major details, because I just, played this 5 months ago. It wasn't that long ago. But when I think about it, I just remember, I get these warm and fuzzies. And I am always, and I talked about this, so blown away by I don't know what it's called, like the facial mocap, like the raising of eyebrows, like the squinting of the eyes, like the twitch of the lip, like every little thing that every NPC, Aloy, the character she's talking to, it made every conversation so engaging. And I never wanted to skip through the dialogue because I was so into what was happening, because it was like, whoa, like this is really fucking impressive. And I think that's besides maybe some Naughty Dog games like Tilu, it was one of the first times I remember just being like, I could just watch their faces all effing day. And that sounds really creepy, but that's how good it was. And yeah, like I just, yeah, I really need to go back, like you were saying, Ree.
But
It's
that's
just,
the thing, though, is that that's what's so amazing about this game, is that we just don't get that quality of
mhm.
animation in games very often. I mean, like, it's just unreal the way that this team at Gorilla had attention to detail in this video game. We just don't get that with all of these side characters who felt fully realized, right? Like the detail in their costumes, and as you mentioned, the face paint, right? Like that was a big
Oh,
thing for all of the different tribes that you met and the clans that you met in the world. Was like the different types of face paint I thought were really well done. And of course, the machines and everything. I just, this
mhm.
to me is one of those games that, is, I don't think it quite reached, where the God of War 2018 was, but I mean, it's really damn close, as far as, like, to me, like a very, very well executed game.
Yeah.
And we just don't get that very often. And I know people have their gripes about it. Of course, you're welcome to have gripes about any game out there, of course, but I think that the thing that really resonates with me, even if people didn't like the gameplay or didn't think, the run or jump animations were original enough, like I can't believe that was a thing.
Oh yeah, that
Remember
was a thing.
people being mad about the way she was throwing the rope when she like repels. I was like, really?
I wish I had the time.
That's the thing that you're upset about in the game? Cool, bro. Not the really cool like new enemy design. That's fine, whatever. But the thing that stuck with me and the reason why, I really stumped for this game is because the narrative team went out of their way to include so many inclusive and diverse storylines that just felt so natural. And we just don't get that very often. And I called that out when we talked about the game, a couple months back, about how there's, stories about, gay love that don't call it out as being gay. They're just like, this is a thing. This is a natural thing, as it should be. There's stories about an elderly person who, has dementia and how his daughter is, dealing with that and caring for him. And that's a real thing that people have to deal with that they talked about. So I think it's, and those are just two of many examples that the team of Gorilla made these really enriching, engaging side stories and side missions about that felt really fully realized. And I appreciate the narrative work that goes into building something like that and how natural they made it feel within this crazy, like, post-apocalyptic future sci-fi dinosaur Jurassic World setting, right? That they still were able to tell these really human stories. And that, to me, I think is why this game is a cut above everything else that we've seen recently.
Also a testament to really great acting performances, like from Ashley Burch, Lance Reddick, the entire cast. Like there's one scene in particular that stands out to me where there are 3 different people and there may be some like relationship subtexts that you have to sort of start reading in order to make whatever decision you choose to make next. And it feels like I'm watching a show. Like it feels like I'm watching a scripted, produced, completely like well acted television show. It is that high quality of narrative work, as you're saying. Like it was impeccably done. And okay, jumping animations, maybe they could have spent more time on that if you wanted that. But
I still thought the jumping animations looked good. Sure,
I thought they were great.
Did they look like the last game? Yeah, but so what? The chainsaw motion in Gears of War has looked the same for like a decade. No one's mad about that.
If your only major gripe is you're sitting there pressing the X button and watching Aloy jump, and that's like what you're criticizing, like get a fucking life. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Relax. It's okay. Yeah. Anyway. Wow, I'm full of it tonight. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry about what exactly?
I don't know. I just feel like I want to yell at people.
I feel that.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to yell at anybody. We're just going to be passionate about the games that we think deserve praise for what they've done. And Horizon Forbidden West is a phenomenal game. And if you own a PlayStation and you haven't played it yet, I cannot recommend it enough. It is so wonderful and so good. And you will get easily 100 hours or more out of that game. So lots and lots to do, lots to see. And I still am a little boggled that like I think I put 100 hours in and I only did like one hunting ground out of all of them.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't do like the fighter pits either, that whole quest line. I was like, I ain't got time. I got to finish this game. There's so much to do. So many armor sets to get, so many cool weapons to get. Like I want a reason to go back. Give me a reason to go back. Where's that DLC?
And I love this. Oh, yeah, right. I love this thing Gabe's also said from patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. He said, it's a game where I'd often put music on or a podcast and just traverse the world on a mount. No side quests or collecting items, just vibes. Like, word.
That's awesome. That's how I felt about Ghost of Tsushima. I mean, so shout out to PlayStation for giving us some wonderful single-player experiences.
Yes.
Really good grass.
Is this where I talk about that really shitty EA tweet?
Yeah. I was thinking it too. I was like,
We all saw it.
That has to be one of the most like, what the fuck tweets. Oh, I can't.
It was somebody on the social team thinking they were super clever. And you know what? I mean, to their credit, they got a lot of attention and a lot of engagement on their account. So
You
all
think they're
press
leaving
is
now?
all press is
we'll
good
take the
press.
L.
Isn't that the saying?
Like, listen, EA. Like, I'm sure. You know what? No, I'm not gonna say it. This is one. Never mind.
The tweet
I'm
heard
smiling.
around the world. If you missed
Yeah.
it by any chance, the tweet was, they're a 10, but they don't play multiplayer games, right?
They only play single player.
They only
games.
Oh,
play
they only
single
play
player
single
games.
player games. They're a 10, but they only play single player games. And I didn't realize that it was based off of a meme, and they were clearly just trying to capitalize on the meme that had been going
Right.
around, and they just failed. Like, that's what happens when brands try to meme.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm
some
trying-
brands do it right.
Some brands, yeah, like that really famous Xbox tweet with the
You know,
after
Yes.
the leak with like the monkey with like
brilliant.
looking to the
Oh, that
side,
was
being
so
like,
great.
"Whoops, yep, there was a leak." That was
Perfect
good.
response.
That was a
That
good
was
use.
really good. Yeah,
There's been
so
a couple
they're a
other
10,
brands, yeah, but
Yeah.
But they only like playing single player games. Has 19,000 retweets.
Got ratioed.
And then,
hard.
and then they responded and they said, "Roast well deserved. We'll take this L because playing single player games actually makes them an 11."
Cute, but no.
No.
no, I mean they stole that right from the replies. Even someone calls that out, that they stole that from the replies, because somebody in the replies was like, "Yeah, people who play single player games are clearly just 11s," and then EA is like, "Oh, actually, that's clever. Why don't I use that?"
Like, social's hard. Like,
I mean,
It
I'm
is
not
true.
disputing that, but like,
no, I'm saying, like, the Xbox team is just, like, again, chef's kiss, like, super good at what they do. They make it look easy, but there's a group of brilliant people behind that account. You know
Shout
what I
out to
mean?
Stein.
Nutty people.
Stein. And it's just, yeah. You know, like, hey, you know, I'm all for brands trying to become more personable and try to interact with their audience, because I think that's really important in today's culture. But yeah, you gotta just know about the brand that you're tweeting about before you tweet the thing.
yes.
Sometimes it just
Go
looks real
full
bad.
tilt like Radio Shack has been doing lately.
Oh, dude.
That's not even a brand anymore. Radio
What
Shack
is
is
going
dead.
on?
That is somebody with the password to the Radio Shack account just running amok. People
And
are
no
like,
one
"Is
is
this where
stopping
brands
them."
are at?" And I'm like, "Clearly not. Clearly this is not a brand talking." Also, there are no Radio Shacks. They don't exist anymore.
It's very funny.
But it
Funny
is.
to
Mighty
watch.
have
It is.
fallen.
It is hilarious. If you have yet to experience what's happening at Radio Shack on Twitter, and you're looking for some giggles or some like, "Oh damn" moments, then you head to the at Radio Shack account and check it
Like
out.
this gem from July 2nd. Woke up feeling rough, but remembered I put a stripper's kid through college last night. We're all good.
Yeah, adults only maybe for Radio Shack from now
Yeah,
on.
just be careful, you know.
They like to talk about fluids.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
A
true.
lot of fluids, a lot of NFT talk. You know, just live your best life.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't include Radio Shack's Twitter.
And the
account.
real tragic part about that is that there's gonna be some marketing executive somewhere, some Bob in a fucking marketing room.
Okay,
just listen to
Bob.
Steve, Bob.
Who's
Yes,
gonna be
you
like,
said it was
"Look
not
at
gonna be
Radio
good."
Shack created all this engagement. We need to be more edgy with our social media strategy." And the social media lead is gonna be like, "No, Bob, trust me, we do not want that. That's the wrong kind of engagement. That's not good long-term engagement."
Steve is trying to tell Bob, "Yo, don't do this because you're gonna get all the Susans mad at you." You know what I mean?
Correct.
Some Susans, man.
Yeah, you don't
They're
want
not
those
gonna be
Susans
happy.
on your back. No.
No. no.
This feels
Wow.
like a great time to move on to more video games, but also to thank our sponsors who help make What's Good Games possible.
This episode of What's Good Games is brought to you by MeUndies. Are people still trying to make plans with you this summer as if you aren't booked and busy already? You're just going to have to tell them to try again in the fall. You've got pool days, pride parades, bachelor parties, and beach vacations waiting for you. It's a lot, but thankfully MeUndies wants to help make this summer the most comfortable one you'll ever forget. You'll never forget. Whoops. Because when you're living your best life, the last thing you want to worry about is butt sweat. And that is butt with 2 T's, ladies and gentlemen. So MeUndies, ever since we've been working with them on What's Good Games, I have got my husband hooked on MeUndies. He threw out all of his old boxers, has nothing but MeUndies now, and now he is addicted to their t-shirts. He is a casual guy, my husband, and he loves just wearing plain t-shirts and, jeans, shorts. Hey, who is he trying to impress? We're in the middle of a pandemic, so we got a 1-year-old. It ain't me. I'm already impressed by him. So anyway, but the point of all this, ladies and gentlemen, is that it's legit so comfortable that he has taken all of his other, like his boxers, his plain t-shirts, and they're all brand name stuff, tossed them to the wayside, which is great for me because now I get to lounge around in them. But now he has all the comfy MeUndies stuff. So if you're looking for some comfortable loungewear, not only for your nether regions, but for your top region, check out their plain t-shirts. I can vouch they're very, very comfortable. Because when you are comfy and when you are feeling good, you're more present to enjoy all your summer plans. It's like science or something. MeUndies has the lightest and most breathable fabrics to keep you cool and comfortable wherever you go. From undies, bralettes, and socks to loungewear and swimwear, you can find something for all of your plans. MeUndies also releases new prints all the time, like their limited edition Pride collection. You can match with your partner, friends, or even, the best part, your dog. Find your ultimate summer comfort in sizes extra small to 4XL. And MeUndies has a great offer for our listeners. For any first-time purchasers, you get 15% off. For a limited time, if you sign up for their free-to-join MeUndies membership, you get 25% off of your first membership item. To get 15% off your first order, 25% off of your first membership item, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/WGG. That's MeUndies.com/WGG.
This episode of What's Good Games is brought to you by HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And that's why it's America's #1 meal kit. We've been talking about HelloFresh a lot here at What's Good Games because both Brittany and I have been cooking up a storm for the last couple of years with our HelloFresh meals. And they have an awesome Taste of Summer series that is sure to become everyone's new favorites, like the Old Bay shrimp and sausage broil. My mouth is watering just thinking about it. And the family-style grilled steak lettuce wraps. Or you can bust out the grill on those nice, warm summer nights and make your fam some dinner from HelloFresh's Cookout collection with recipes like the melty Monterey Jack burgers. Who doesn't love a good burger on the grill in the summertime? It's like the quintessential experience. And you can skip trips to the grocery store and spend more time soaking up the summer sun because HelloFresh Market is a one-stop shop for all your mealtime needs with quick breakfast, lunch, snacks, desserts, and more. Did I order a roll of Cinnamon Toast Crunch cinnamon rolls in my last HelloFresh order from their marketplace? Yes, I did, and I am very excited for them to arrive next week. They have all kinds of stuff to pick and choose from, so you can, like we said, soak up that summer sun. If you want to try America's #1 meal kit for yourself, go to HelloFresh.com/whatsgood16 and use our code whatsgood16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. That's HelloFresh.com/whatsgood16 and use our code whatsgood16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. And don't forget, when you use our link and our code, it helps out the show, so we appreciate all the support. And if you guys do end up making something, tweet us a photo of what you made. We want to hear about it. We love talking about food. And that's all I have to say about that. Y'all know that we've already been talking about video games that we love. We've already mentioned Elden Ring. So now we, of course, have come to the time of the year when Elden Ring came out. Horizon Forbidden West, I think, kind of got not an unfair shake because clearly a lot of people liked that game, but I was a little disappointed by how many people quickly jumped ship to being like, Elden Ring is the best game of all time. And not to knock, obviously, the amazing work that From Software did on this game, because we're about to talk about all of the amazing work they did. But I was just like, damn, poor Gorilla. They tried their hardest. This happened to them when Zero Dawn came out too.
With Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild came in and just stole all their thunder. And I was like, no, but it's so good.
Oh man. Yeah, Elden Ring. Okay, so where are we all at with Elden Ring?
So I haven't picked up Elden Ring for a month or so. But last I played, and I was like, I've had like 3 continents. I don't know what they're called, lands or whatever, unlocked.
Mhm.
Done a
Okay.
couple good boss fights with the help of some friends. Have completed only 1 boss fight on my own with like no summons, no help, whatever.
Nice.
Just 1 though, and it was like a mini boss. Don't give me too much praise, okay? Didn't really do that much, but I was really enjoying my time just kind of exploring / running away from everything.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah. So I'm 25 hours into Elden Ring. Maybe level, I don't even know what level I am. I'm not even gonna pretend like I know. I just picked it back up over the weekend. Jason and I are looking for, not looking, but we were just kind of craving it. We've been playing some Kirby, and it was like, kind of looking for some Elden Ring. Brie, have you played? I can't remember. Have you played Elden Ring?
I was just
Okay,
trying
yeah,
to
that's
see if
right.
I could like sneakily look up my progress, and I can't. I'm at level, I would say probably like 40 something, like not
Okay, I think I'm level like
anything
60 or
special.
something. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, Elden Ring. So this is the game that I never thought I would play, and then Andrea talked about it. I think you talked about it. That's right. And then I watched Jason start it, and watching him play it, I was like, this actually looks kind of nice. Like, the big open field, the traversal, it just sounded like a really cool escape. And then from there, watched me play it, and then we both started playing it, and that's why we're both playing it now. Yeah, it's interesting because this game is it's so good, and there's so many things about it that I really like, but there is almost equally amount of things that I feel like are holding it back from being a personal, like, holy fucking shit, this is like my ideal dream game. We've talked about it. I mean, if it was my best version of this game, there'd obviously be a lot of changes, especially when it comes to the multiplayer and cooperative component of it. I think the combat for me anyway as a melee is just boring. I wish there was different move sets, and a map would be like like an actual interactive map would be nice, with a quest log would be great. I know there is a map, and I know it shows you like certain things here and there, but just like, the ability to like have breadcrumbs. I don't know. I'm not gonna get people pissed off at me, but
Too late.
I know it is too late. Like, I'm trying to tell you, I love your game, but it's not perfect. But for some people, this is their perfect game, and then I think that's the thing I've had to wrap my head around is the way this game is built right now for some folks is just absolutely perfect. It is like, holy shit, like video games can't get any better than this. This is like a once in a generation type of game, which is actually what someone said when they were talking about Elden Ring on our Patreon. And that person was Nathaniel Fuller, who said Elden Ring is one of those special once in a generation kind of games for me. They spent 170 hours in the lands between because they thought it was amazing. Hands down, their game of the year for 2022. Yeah, and I think that's been the hard part for me is I love the sense of exploration. I love the world. I love just wandering around. You never know what you're gonna find. I think the enemies and the dialogue and some of the narrative is so brilliantly like fucked up and weird. Like, I was just talking about Renala, a boss that I just defeated, and like her whole shtick is she has all these little things called sweetings, which are like these students with, I don't know if their lower body doesn't work or what, but they're kind of crawling around singing a very catchy tune that has been stuck in my head for about 3 days now. It's so weird, but it's so beautiful, and it in a really fucked up way. Anyway, it's like it's a mind fuck. Elden Ring. It's an absolute mind fuck for me. But I'll stop talking now. I'll pass it along to someone so I can take a swig.
No, I think that we are probably going to echo a lot of your sentiments. I've already on this show talked about my gripes with Elden Ring, but despite my gripes, I still felt compelled to keep booting the game up and keep playing and keep exploring. And I had tweeted a map of my progress where I went from the first opening area directly into Khaled, which is like a late game area because I got teleported.
Yep.
Yes.
Over there, and then I was like, well, I guess I'm just gonna run around. I just like unlocked the whole map by just getting on my horse and just running through the whole area. And I would stop and pick up stuff, of course, and touch the the points of grace or whatnot to open up the little campfires. But I just was like, oh, am I doing Elden Ring right? And everyone was like, holy shit, why'd you go over there?
And I did the same thing last night, and I was running around on my horse, and I saw this huge white rock. I'm like, wow, this is a big fucking white rock. And I'm like, oh no, this is a dragon. Oh no. Yeah, like that. I ended up in the same area too, and I got my ass handed to me supremely, and I didn't know. I didn't know what happened. It's not
Yeah.
like
But
there's
I
like, hey,
think
warning,
that's
turn around.
but I think that's part of the beauty of Elden Ring, and something
Sure.
that is absolutely intentional, right? Like they
Right.
when you go into that one chest that everybody probably knows about, and then all of a sudden you get teleported, like you're saying, it's like that's the beauty of the design. They don't want you to try to follow a linear path. They don't want you to be able to plan out your entire gameplay session the first time you see the map. They want to throw you curveballs and like put you
Mm-hmm.
into different areas, and you get into a coffin and all of a sudden you're in an entirely different space. Like they want that sense of wonder and discovery and spontaneity, and I think that's what's really exciting about a game like this, especially for
Yes.
someone like me who likes to have that quest log, Brittany, and check
Mm-hmm.
off all the boxes in order and have them nice and neat and easy to follow. But this game refuses to let you plan, and even in the way that the boss encounters go, like I've beaten Margit alone. It was not easy. And I am going full magic build. Like I went astrologer on my second run right now is what I'm on. And I'm playing this game like full magical girl. Like I got a
Yeah.
sparkly horse. Like I'm throwing spells at people. Like I
I
want to
went
float
astrologer
around.
on my
Like
first run. I was
yeah,
like, there was no other class for me. Like, this is the one.
it's great.
Did I have to
But
spend like 10 hours researching the right build online to figure out what the fuck I
yes.
can do to not die constantly? Yes. Was I annoyed that
Yes.
there's literally like no guidance in the game? Yes. But did I still do it? I did. And that means
Yeah.
that the game has compelled me enough to literally watch YouTube videos about how to make the right build. And I don't do that.
It's great. And it really does. This is one of my favorite things about games. It encourages you to reach out to other people and compare notes and to look for guides and to say like, did this happen to you? How did you tackle this boss? Like it encourages that conversation and community for some, and for others it just encourages you to try new things that you didn't think were possible. And I think
Mm-hmm.
like it's really special, a game like this. It may not be for everyone. It's definitely challenging and not what we're used to with typical Western adventure games, but there's something unique about Elden Ring that I think has really struck a chord with a lot of folks, where it encourages you to step outside your comfort zone, but still be rewarded in a way that you think is valuable. It's not disrespectful of your time or exploration. And I think that that's really the difference for me compared to other games that make you feel like you're grinding for 10 hours that you really don't have in order to get, I don't know, some currency that you could have just paid
Yeah.
for. It really does reward your attempts at stepping outside of the box. And I really love that about Elden Ring.
And I think that's something. I think that's probably one of the reasons why I love this game so much is what a magical experience. We talk about video games obviously a lot and we love them as an escape. Um, but very rarely, do you get a world where you just kind of are dropped in and it's like, okay, explore, have fun. And there are folks out there who love finding all the hidden doors and who love figuring out the puzzle pieces or finding the puzzle pieces that are scattered throughout the lands between and finding where they go and finding the hidden items. And it's kind of like you're just dropped in this playground and it's just yours to make it your own. And like you're saying, Ree, I go on forums all the time. I'm like, where should I go next? Which for some people like me, I think that's kind of a flaw with the game, but some folks love not knowing what to do and kind of discovering it for themselves. And another game that used to do this for me was Outward, which I've talked a lot about on this game. And that's from a teeny tiny indie studio. So it doesn't even have to be a huge AAA game to give you these warm and fuzzies, but Elden Ring just does it in such an awesome way. And so I love that about it. It's just, you never know what you're going to find. Jason and I the other day were walking around, found two huge ass giants that are 10 times bigger than we were. And he wanted to fight them because, of course, he did. And I was like, no, dude, there's no way. But to my surprise, we were able to take both of them down. And that is such a cool thing. You see these huge, large, like things in the world, like that fucking dragon I was just talking about. And I said, there's no way they animated that thing. There's no way that thing's animated. So I went over and slashed it. Well, guess what? I found out the hard way. They animated that thing. I thought it was just a really cool prop. So yeah, like, I understand, like, from a critical perspective, it does a lot of things very beautifully. I think the hard part for me is from a personal perspective. There's just some things I would like done differently. But, that doesn't mean I get to, I guess, unfairly critique it and say, well, this game isn't perfect because of this, this, and this. when some folks would consider the game perfect because of that, and that. But I definitely think it's commendable. I think it gets the praise that it gets, rightfully so. I just, there's just little changes here and there, but hey, that's just my opinion. Don't get mad. Like, opinions are like assholes. We all have them. Calm down.
Yeah, I think that there's no disputing the water cooler moment that this game created this year. If there was actually a category for, most viral game or trending game of the year, Elden Ring
totally
would
be one.
100% be that game, right? It was the game that everybody was talking about, and I think it compelled a lot of people to go outside their comfort zone and to try this game when they had potentially either had a bad experience with another From Software game, or that they had just decided, this type of Soulsborne experience with this really intense combat that you have to like memorize and be patient and learn the patterns just isn't for me. And I think a lot of people were like so compelled by the conversation around this game that they just decided, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to try it, and actually ended up really liking it. And so I think it's absolutely commendable to the team at From Software that they made the game and their particular style of game design more accessible to people, but it's still not an accessible game, right? And we were once again back at that conversation that we have around all From Software games about, what does accessibility mean? How can developers make their games accessible? And I think a game as magical as Elden Ring is, and as beautiful as the world is, and the design of all the creatures and the levels and everything is clearly inspired, right? The team had a vision, and you can see that. And clearly, of course, led by Miyazaki, who's a legend in the industry. I just want more people to be able to experience it, and it's just continually a fucking bummer for me that the team at From Software does not give a shit about that. They don't care about making their game accessible to everybody. They care about making their artistic vision. And I still firmly believe, as I said earlier in the show tonight, that there's a way to do both, and they could do both. They just don't want to. And that's what bums me out about this game. I want to be able to look at Elden Ring and go, this game is a crown jewel in RPGs of our time, and hold it up at this pedestal, but I can't, because I know that team can do better. They just don't want to do better because they want to hold true to some vision that they have of what the game is supposed to be. And if people can't play it, then fuck them. And I'm like, that's so shitty though. It's like
It's really shitty.
it just makes me angry that they could make this game better and more accessible. And it's not even just about the accessibility. They could have a fucking pause button, because they had it in other From Software games, and they could have a quest log, and they could do all of these things. The complaints that I had about this game in the beginning, they could implement those changes and make the game better, but they just didn't. So I kind of gotta be like, I'm so torn between really loving this game for what it does well and also just being really angry about what they fucked up.
It's fair.
Definitely feel that.
Excuse me. I had to just express my emotions for a second.
That's, again, like you told me, this is a safe space. It's okay.
I just I want to just
with
be in
you.
love with this game, because you talking about it again, Brittany, and even as just watching the footage that I've been playing at youtube.com/games, some of the B-roll provided from the Bandai Namco team on their gameplay preview, just reinvigorates my desire to go back and keep exploring, because I was like, oh, there's these whole biomes that I haven't seen yet. I'm like, this whole area of the game I haven't seen yet, and these creatures that I haven't explored, and I want to, and it just makes me sad that when I boot it up, I'm gonna be frustrated and mad, and I'm gonna spend hours making progress that's gonna be wiped away by a single encounter that I stumbled upon by accident. And I just
You gotta
don't
be like me, girl.
want to put
You
myself
got-
through that stress anymore.
Yeah, I mean, and let me be very clear. I'm not playing this way. I think maybe a lot of you are. I don't know. I immediately went to the Google machine. I was like, what's
yeah.
best grinding places? Elden Ring. And we spent probably a good hour or two, Jason and I, just on party chat, just chatting in our living room, just he and I, it was a little date night. Just grinding. There's this area in Khaled, is that what we were talking about earlier? Andrea, you mentioned it. Yeah, we just grinded for lots of runes, and we are at a spot right now where I wouldn't say we're OP because, like we've said, you can never really get OP in this game, but every encounter minus the major bosses are relatively easy at this point. All you have to do is find that spot, do some grinding, level your build up, and then maybe do a little quick Google like best like early game armor sets or weapons, and then you'll be okay. And that is the only reason I'm able to enjoy. I don't like the brutal like dying over and over again. And I always whenever I have enough runes to turn into level up, I immediately go back because if there's one thing I hate more than anything in the video game, it's losing progress. So that's kind of ironic.
But
yeah,
you
right?
get to a point in the game where it requires so many runes to level that you have to grind and you have to go after the bigger enemies, and you can't just farm the ones that you farmed in the beginning because it's not enough. And then you will get to the point that I think I was at, where I was like in this cave trying to get some materials, and I had a bunch of runes, and then I just kept running into a wall, and I was so far down in the cave that I was like, when I lost them, then to get back, the like touch of grace was so far that I had to like go through all of the like fucking mob enemies again to get back down to where my runes were, and hope that I didn't like accidentally make a mistake and die. And then I kept dying. I kept getting them and then trying to get out of the cave. I would like somehow lose them getting out. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done with this game for a while. I need to like put it down. Just need to walk away.
And
Jason
like is my guinea pig.
Yeah.
I join his game. So when you join someone else's game, you don't lose your runes if you die. You don't. So I always, because he doesn't care if he loses his runes. He's not like me. I join his game, and if all of our new progress is done on his side. So if we go to an area and I'm like, we are way too like underpowered for this, we just turn around and go back. I don't lose my runes. Again, we're playing it in a way that it's like I don't think is as easy for everyone.
But Jason does though if he dies.
Oh, he doesn't care though. Yeah, but he doesn't care. He's like, whatever, it's fine. I'm like, okay, see, this is why. Thank you.
So you're saying I just have to find a friend who doesn't care if they die so that I can keep progressing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's exactly the secret to happiness in Elden Ring, Andrea.
Find somebody who has a lot more time than I do to carry me through the game.
Man, which is why, like, again, I wish there were just some changes to multiplayer. But
the multiplayer is so egregious. We can't even, I can't even go down that path because I had so much fun playing until I didn't, right? Like, I had fun until it wasn't fun because of the roadblocks. It's this, like, okay, I'm not going to rehash it. I already made the Animal Crossing comparison of like, this is so much fun until it's not fun. And it's exactly fun and not fun in almost identical ways to Animal Crossing. So my thing is like, I just want From Software to fix it. There's the tools for them to fix it. Bandai, give them more budget. It made you a shit ton of money. Fix it. Make it better.
Just add an option to, yeah, you're right. Anyway.
Just fix it. Just make it better.
It's an old ass ring.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's an old ass ring. That's gonna be the game of the year. And like it's a phenomenal game. Like I was mad when Breath of the Wild won Game of the Year over Horizon Forbidden or Zero Dawn. I was like legitimately upset because I was like I don't care that you can like climb a fucking rock wall, any rock wall in the game. I don't care. Zero Dawn was fucking brilliant.
No, I'm not going to go down the rant. This is the rant I was trying to avoid with Pokemon, but you stirred it within my loins. Here's the fucking thing, ladies and gentlemen. Pokemon could... I'm sorry, I can't help it. Pokemon can shit on a rock, and someone will come by and be like, oh my fucking god, you guys, Pokemon shit on a rock. And someone will be by like, yo, people have been shitting on rocks for 30 years. It's not that impressive. Oh my god, but Pokemon did it. It's the best fucking thing in the world. That's the problem. We drink all the fucking Kool-Aid. Pokemon does anything and everything. Nintendo does anything. It's a Pokemon effect. Link can climb a rock wall. Oh, that's really cool. People have been climbing fucking rock walls since the dawn of time. It's not that impressive, but Nintendo did it. Oh my god, it's so amazing. It's so innovative. No, it's not. Calm down. It's not that impressive. It's okay. Wow.
I would
Wow.
say
If
tell us
Pokemon
how
did
you really
shit,
feel,
though,
but you
people would be
clearly
really
just did.
excited.
No, it's true. Oh my god, it's like it's like Andrew when you're talking about Death Stranding back in the day, and you're doing your 2 spoons, whatever the fuck it was all about. You're like, I'm gonna gobble up this weirdness, and I'm gonna love it because it's
I'm
fucking
eating
Kojima.
it with the spoon. Give me
Yes.
another one.
Oh,
I personally
it's
stand by the statement that game is not fun.
Breath of the Wild or
Which game?
Death Stranding.
Death Stranding.
Oh yeah, well, that's a
It's
whole
not
other
fun.
can of worms.
Well, I mean, if you like
No,
min-maxing how many boxes you can pack on your back, then it's definitely
No.
fun.
No.
Anyway,
No.
it's the Nintendo effect. Like they can do anything, and people are just blown away by it. And listen, I'm one of those people. I fully admit it. It's fine, but you're right. Anyway, I'm done.
Yeah. Also,
It's
weapon
okay.
degradation, never fun. Also, never fun. Just
Wait,
don't
this
do
is
it
not.
anymore.
This is not an opportunity for us to take us back to there. We're talking about 2022 Game
Oh,
of the
yeah.
Year candidates, and
I'm
clearly, as we said, we think Elden Ring is the game to beat. But there are
Yep.
some other games that have come out since Elden
Are
Ring.
there?
Are there? Are there?
No.
Question. Are there? No, actually, I don't think there are any
No.
like games. So just because we have to do our due diligence and talk about some of the other big games that have come out so far, let's look to March of this year
Okay.
and what
Mhm.
has come out that could potentially be in the conversation about the best games of the year. And to me, the game that stands out for March, of course, is Tunic. A lot of people talking about Tunic. I unfortunately have not gotten enough time to evaluate Tunic. It's one of those games that just slips through the cracks, but was one of the games I was looking forward to because that little fox is so cute. And I
So
really
cute.
wanted to
Real
play this
cute.
game.
He is real cute. Now we're talking about March, right?
Yes,
We're
March.
talking about
Wow.
March.
Wow, Kirby came out in March.
That's correct.
Wow.
A lot of people
Wow.
had a lot of good things to say about Kirby.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
Ree, did you wait before we move on to Kirby?
Yeah.
Did you play Tunic, Ree?
I haven't played Tunic since it released. I did play some at, indie booths at PAXs of years past, but
Yeah,
not
same.
the final game. So I also didn't have enough time with it to evaluate it. Looks adorable. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think it's game of the year.
Yeah,
You don't think it even is in the running?
No, I think it's wonderful. I think it's lots of people's favorite
Indie
game. And it's
game,
absolutely
maybe.
worth playing.
And that's
But
a good distinction to make, Ree, because I have a few games that I think are going to be personal game of the years, but definitely,
absolutely.
I couldn't nominate it for critical game of the year. And I think Tunic is one of those because we also got some folks in our community who mentioned Tunic as one of their favorite games.
That's
I
great.
think when I first saw Tunic, I was like, oh, it just looks like a Zelda game. That's fucking great. But the more you learn about it and the more you read about it, you learn that it's different in some other ways, and that's totally cool. And that's great, not complaining. But I think it just didn't appeal to me as much back then. But definitely Tunic is one of them. The other few that came out were Ghostwire Tokyo, and I guess if that's a good one to talk about. That was one I was really excited about.
I know.
Yeah, that I just feel like no one's really talking about anymore, and I think I just kind of was it a bad game? Absolutely not. But I think again, I had a lot of high hopes and dreams for that bad boy. I think the idea of running through this weird ass like haunted Tokyo with all these weird ass like monsters and kind of really deep diving into that lore, which is something that they did do in that game. So I'm not saying they didn't, but the quest just kind of fell a little flat. I think the interactions, the gameplay, and honestly, what I wasn't expecting was playing in Tokyo when it was constantly dark and dreary and raining. It was really negatively impacting me. I was just not feeling like uplifted by the time I was done playing. I never even finished it. I think I spent maybe 5 hours with it, and I think you can finish it in about 10. But I was doing all the side stuff because I've talked about I love Japanese culture. I just think it's so cool, and I love spending time in that world and learning more and more about it. And they give you really great tools to do that. And I think once the combat picked up, it was pretty fun, but it just got stale after a while. You're fighting the same enemies over and over again. It was just It was just lacking something. But I'm happy that this game was made, that the team got to experiment with something a little bit new. I think that's really important. But unfortunately, yeah, it just it didn't hit where I thought it would. But,
To agree with you.
yeah.
I wasn't super jazzed about it because it looked creepy, and you know how I feel about creepy games, but I
do.
did give it a chance.
I'm
I
proud
did
of
give it
you.
a chance, and it's It's like when you have a really great chicken wing and like it's perfectly cooked, the sauce is bomb, like it's fire, it's giving everything it needs to give. There's just not enough meat on it, you know?
Oh,
It's
such
like
a
it's just missing a
bummer.
little
And
bit
you're
of
like,
something.
this is what I just want like a juicy bite.
I just want meat.
And then you
And,
don't get
like,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
That's
really
good.
good
That's good.
analogy.
That is
Yeah.
great.
It's one we can
Yeah.
all
Just
like
needed some more-
understand.
It's a
The
little
other
repetitive.
game
More chicken.
that
more
came
chicken.
out more chicken in March that some people have mentioned, and I just want to give a quick shout out to, is Triangle Strategy. This is
yeah.
a Brit game, absolutely, but Brit just hasn't played this game. Brit hasn't played a lot of games. Let's just be real. But yeah, I saw a lot of folks mention this, so I think it's something I'd love to play. I just gotta make the time to do it. Maybe if I can pull myself away from Rune Factory 5. which I
Do you
think
want
also
to
came out
talk
in March.
about? Do you want to talk about Rune Factory 5?
Do I want to talk about? Yes.
Wait,
Okay,
was
so
that
this
out in March?
Yeah, March 22nd.
For the Switch?
Yep.
Oh dang. Okay.
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So
Wait,
okay,
before you move on to Rune Factory,
Yeah.
do you want to talk about Kirby at all or no?
Yes.
Okay, which do you
I would
want to
love
talk
to
about first? Rune Factory?
Let's
Rune
talk about
Factory.
Kirby real quick. No,
Okay.
let's talk about Kirby. All right, Kirby, the loss of Kirby in the Forgotten Land, I believe is what the actual title is called. There's
That
just a
is
lot of
correct.
words. It's just so many words. It's like that one game last week that I couldn't remember, the Doraemon story. of whatever the fuck.
Doraemon.
King's Quest. I don't fucking know. Anyway, yeah. So Kirby in the Forgotten Land. This is also making a lot of people's Game of the Year list. We got a lot of responses from people, friends of mine, who were like, "Oh, this game is so good." And you know, ladies, I think I just have to come to grips with. I've been playing this with Jason. I think we're maybe like 6 hours into it. Is it adorable? Yes. Is it fun to play? Yes. Is it charming as fuck? Yes. But I just don't know if these kinds of games are my bread and butter anymore. If I get a lot of joy out of these anymore. I don't think I do. That makes me so sad. You know, I'm good for a few levels every night. I can do a few levels, but then I just get bored, you know, and despite the fact that you could upgrade some of your abilities and despite the fact that, you know, you have to find these waddle dees and whatnot in each level, so there's good replayability there. I just I play it and I'm like, okay, cool, I did it. I move on to the next. I have no desire to go back and try to find the other waddle dees and whatnot. It's really cute and charming and pretty, but I think one of the things that I just got hung up on is just the complete like toss to the wayside multiplayer. Why Nintendo does this? No, you're
Wait, no,
good.
don't even waste
not-
energy. Don't
I'm
do
not-
it. Just
listen, but this is
the answer.
This is part of the reason. I mean, sure, but it's kind of like with Bowser's Fury. The way they did the multiplayer camera is it only focuses on the first player. It doesn't follow the second player. And so when I'm playing it with Jason, he says he doesn't mind, but like whatever I do on the camera, he has to follow me. The camera doesn't like slowly pan out and zoom out, so you know, which follows both players. And I think they do that in the Mario games. Instead, it only follows me, and he is stuck as a Waddle Dee with a bandana who has his own moveset, cool, but he can't absorb any of the other abilities. And as someone who played Kirby growing up a lot, Kirby Superstars is, you know, one of my favorite Super Nintendo games with my dad. You know, my dad would be able to be any character he wanted in that game, and that was so much fun for the both of us. But now playing this in this day and age, just like, why do you not have that built in? Why is your multiplayer all wackadoodle? Whatever. I just can't give this a Game of the Year nod. You know, for that like reason alone is enough for me, but I digress. So there's Kirby. It's really cute, whatever.
But can we for a second give Jason a co-op player of the year award for never caring, for always being like, it's cool, babe. Whatever you want, babe. It's fine. I don't mind. Like,
I know.
all the games you play together, it sounds like he's the most agreeable co-op partner to be like, it doesn't bother me. Everything's fine. I'm like, yeah, Jason, you're a real one. Shout out to Jason.
He's so chill. I'm like, this is for my work. I need to have the best experience possible. And he's like, whatever, I don't fucking care.
Like Final Be Player 2.
Yeah, Final Be Player 2.
You know what, though? It's just a reminder to me that I haven't seen either of you in way too long, and I haven't seen Jason in even longer and, like, hung out with him. But, like, shout out to your husband for being an amazing person who I miss dearly. I mean, obviously I miss you more. But, like, he makes you a better version of you, and that's, like, the definition of a great partner. And
Absolutely.
I just like wanted to call out and give him some thanks and props for clearly recognizing that you need to do you, and in order for you to be your best self, he's just going to be chill and be the best agreeable co-op partner that you could ask for. And
Oh,
like,
yeah,
God
he
bless
gets
for that.
he gets the shaft so many times, but he's so wonderful about it. Thanks, babe. Love you. All of our partners are great. Shout out to What's Good partners.
Yes, all the What's Good partners out
What's good
there.
partners.
Great
Yes.
none. Okay, Rune Factory. I gotta talk
Rune
about
Factory,
this.
yes.
I'll keep it short and sweet because this is one of my personal game of the years. I only have two. One of them is Fire Emblem Three Hopes, and the other is Rune Factory 5. This has been like what I needed, which I didn't know I needed. I've spent, I think, 130 hours with this game. It's my
Oh,
current
damn.
treadmill.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I've been
Wow.
sneakily playing it on the side, and I don't talk about it too much on the show because when we had to talk about a game on the show, we had to look at it from a critical perspective. And this is why Rune Factory 5 is not on my critical contender, is because it's flawed in a lot of ways. But what's more important is that it's just fun and it makes me feel good. It's what I play in bed before I go to sleep. It's what I play when I'm walking on the treadmill. It relaxes me and it just kind of takes me away and I get in a groove with it. And I'm just happier when I'm done playing it. So that way I don't have to think about it from a critical perspective. I can accept it, flaws and all. But yeah, I mean, it's a farming sim, but it actually has like a story attached to it and lots of dungeon crawling and a fun little end game and lots of characters. I think the localization in this game is some of the best I've seen in any game in the farming genre. And there's just so much to do and I just love coming here every night. I go to my little Rune Factory 5 town and all my little friends there, and I just have a really good time. It's kind of like Andrea, Animal Crossing. It's that same sort of like vibe you get.
Yeah.
And yeah, oh my gosh, she has a kid. Wow. Anyway, I just
Spoilers.
no, I mean you can bang people and have kids, but it was just weird to see her because she's scared of her own shadow. That was Priscilla, if anyone's listening. Anyway, yeah. So Rune Factory 5 has just really been there for me, and it's just like that game that I just really needed at the time that I didn't know I needed, and I was like, this is again I've said chicken soup for the soul, and life is good right now. It's just hard. It's also hard, and so being able to just play that and feel happy just makes me feel good. So yay, Rune Factory 5. Love you. Make more. I need more DLC. I need more people to bang. I'm not committing, ladies. I'm not marrying anyone. I'm keeping my options wide open.
Ooh,
You know what I mean?
playing the field.
I have 10 bachelors and bachelorettes I can choose from.
Wow. That is
I know.
quite the field.
I know, and they all want my nuts.
Of course they do.
Someone turn up. Of course.
A game that I want to give just like a tip of the hat to in March is Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, because I had such a
Aw.
great time with this. I also have to make the disclaimer that yes, I did do a video with our friends over at Kinda Funny Games that 2K sponsored about Tiny Tina. So just as a disclaimer, but if you follow the show and you know me, you guys know that I've been a giant fan of Borderlands for a very long time. And it was a really exciting opportunity for me to play a game around this really fun character. And I still stand by that the D&D format that they adopted for Wonderlands was so good and it fits so well with the aesthetic of the Borderlands universe. Because I admit it, I got fucking bored with Borderlands 3's story. Just gonna say it
Even-
outright.
Oh, Borderlands 3. Okay. I thought you were going to say like Assault on Dragon's Keep.
No.
Okay.
I never finished Borderlands 3 because I just got tired of the same kind of, I don't want to call it slapstick because that's not the kind of humor it is, but it just felt like the same kind of jokes over and over again, and I wasn't compelled to finish it. But Tiny Tina's Wonderlands was so fucking refreshing because not only was it the gameplay that I love that Gearbox has designed, this like they are one of the big innovators in the looter shooter genre, but the voice acting and the writing was all so well done. It was just so whimsical in a way that I would have been missing in some of the recent Borderlands DLC and of course, in some of the story stuff that they did. And I really wanted to be able to spend more time playing that game with friends, but I've been playing a lot of it solo because as people who listen to the show know, playing games with friends when you got a baby is freaking hard. So, but yeah, that's a game that I want to give a tip of the hat to because I think it did really great things, though I absolutely don't think it's going to be in contention for Game of the Year. A game in April, moving on to the next month, that I would like to talk about is Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Let me once again make my disclaimer about the fact that, yes, my husband works for Disney. Yes, he worked on deals for this game. Did he develop this game? No. But I'm still making my disclaimer just for everybody listening as a reminder. Is it video games? Is it Star Wars? My husband had a hand in it.
I can't remember where it is, but someone on YouTube left a comment that said you should just open every episode with the disclaimer going forward. Oh, here we go. It's from Bernie. He said, you should start every introduction like this. Welcome to What's Good Games, your source for news, commentary, analysis, and funny stuff. I'm Andrea Renee, whose husband works for Disney Game Studios and still won't tell me anything about the new Star Wars game. Love you, babe. And with me today are, there you go.
God bless you, Bernie. You took the words right out of my mouth. I'll just add it to the rundown every week just so everyone remembers that my husband works for Disney. But regardless of that, before he worked for Disney, this game was in development, if you can believe it, because it's true. But Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, if you guys missed the news blurbs, is the best-selling Lego game of all time and has just been like selling gangbusters because the game is so good. And I think it was worth the wait. I think people were concerned when the game got delayed multiple times. And this is another game that I was really concerned was overly ambitious. When we first saw the preview for this game, I was like, wait, you're doing Lego games for all 9 movies in one game? That's not a thing. That's not like, you're not actually doing that, right? Like, that's way too much. And they're like, no, actually, we are. And, shout out to the team at TT Games for always doing phenomenal work on their Lego titles. But they really, pushed the envelope with what they put into this Skywalker saga. Just all of the things you love about Lego games, the whimsy, the humor, the cuteness, the puzzles, the exploration, the collectibles. But then on top of that, they added all of these gameplay systems, a deep RPG progression, a lot of combat, and of course, characters, pulling from all sorts of corners of the Star Wars universe. Space combat, as we're seeing in the trailer here, lightsabers, like just all of it. If you are even remotely interested in Star Wars and you've played a Lego game and loved it, then you are going to love this game. And I wish I got to spend more time playing. It's on my list of games that I need to spend more time playing. But from what I have played and also what I've watched John play, it's just like such fun. It's just such a nice, whimsical thing. And it's co-op. So I mentioned last week at the end of the show, if you guys made it to the end, about my friends that were visiting with their 6-year-old who, peed in our pool and lied about it and then came clean about it later. But a thing that was really fun that we were able to do is that John was able to get them a copy of Lego Star Wars. And we got to watch father and son play split screen co-op on the couch together. Aww. And it was just such a really magical experience getting to watch like a parent and a child play this game together and play it in local split screen. And it just reminded me that like those kind of couch co-op experiences that are ageless, that people who are in their 30s or 40s or people who are literally 6 years old can play together and enjoy are just so few and far between. There's just not very many of them that exist. And so I think that alone deserves a pat on the back for the entire team, at WB Games, Lego, and TT for the work that they did. And it's just like, it was just a really wonderful, like, heartwarming experience to be like, I don't play games like this because, like my baby can't hold a controller without like throwing it to the ground. Someday she will. But like, it reminded me that like I get to have that moment with my baby someday, and it made me really excited.
Elden Ring, let's go, Charlie. Let's go fuck some shit up.
Margaret's about to get it.
Margaret.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's really sweet.
But yeah,
Lego games are just it's an IP, whatever you want to call it. That I'm happy just exists. Like I'm just happy it's a thing that's out there. I haven't played a Lego game in like 15 years. I feel like the last time I played one was on the 360 with my ex-boyfriend. And Jason has never played one before, and I just found this out last weekend because we almost played this instead of Elden Ring, but I was like, let's not start another game because we have been doing that a lot lately. But it's definitely on our little backlog list to get to because it just looks so cute and so good. It's, again, one of those games that just make you feel good. You don't have to be stressed about it. It's just a chill, good time. So yay for, and it's so pretty. That's kind of a weird thing to say about a Lego game, but I'll never forget.
It looks good,
right? I saw it at it was the last E3? Fuck, who could say? Back in the old days,
2019 was the last E3.
Yeah, and I saw the presentation with it. I think I might have been with Steimer, and we both were like, "Hot damn!"
No, we were all in it together. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It looked real pretty.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, and that was
look at that
3 years ago. Like, I'm watching it on my giant television in my living room, and it looks pretty now. Looks even prettier. It's just, yeah. I've always been a big fan of Lego, and I think that this is going to go down as one of their greatest achievements that they've ever done. So if you guys have been waiting on it, or if you've been looking for a reason to play, like, or just something that's like a fun, accessible, like, puzzle game that has such whimsy, like, the writing. Like, the writing in these games never ceases to make me chuckle. Just like the tiniest jokes. And I don't want to even say any of them because I want people who haven't played yet to be able to experience them. But they're just like, some of the jokes are just like they're like quintessential dad jokes almost. Like, they're so dumb but so funny at the same time. You're like, I shouldn't laugh at this, but I have to because, like, bravo to whoever thought of this. So,
yeah. That sounds sweet. So, as somebody who's also ever played a Lego game, is it similar to, like, Scary Movie or, like, Not Another Teen Movie humor where it's following the beats of the actual property but, like, putting a comedic spin on it?
Yes and no. It follows the beats of the movie pretty religiously. Like, they don't really deviate from all of the story. They just like make like puns and like kind of like play on words to change some of the stories, but they don't like add anything. There's nothing like original. And well, okay, I don't want to say there's nothing original. That's like disingenuous. I mean, it's more like the things that they add to the game are like, it's obvious like what they've added. You're never going to be like looking up on a wiki of like, oh, is this like the real thing or not? And so I think that's what's really great about what they do is that it's clearly like a one-to-one recreation of the films in the Skywalker series, right? But they have like side quests that are like really cheeky, and the characters and you know what they're supposed to be called, but they've like just changed the names enough that you can be like, LOL, that's funny.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
I might try this one.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you don't like Star Wars, then don't waste your time. But if you are all remotely like, yeah, Star Wars is cool, I really enjoyed the movies, then you should absolutely give this game a shot.
And as someone who doesn't watch a lot of Star Wars, I can say from the Lego games I have played back in the day, very, very much enjoyed them. I knew the basic beats of it. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And what you don't know, it's kind of fun to follow along. It's like you're in for a whole new story. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Okay,
well, moving on.
It's gonna be May.
Oh, wait, no. Ree, do you have any other games from April that you'd like to talk about?
April.
And I scrolled through the list and I was like,
when did Switch Sports come out?
Nintendo.
April 29th. Squeaking in at the end.
Here's the thing. It's not Game of the Year. It's not mine. It probably won't be most people's. But when I say like this was really great and really great for lots of personal reasons, I can't understate it. I and Danny bought my parents a Switch OLED for a thank you gift for all of the support and help they gave us with our wedding and moving into our new house. With it, we got them a copy of Nintendo Switch Sports. And when I tell you they play it every single day, like they're both retired. They play it every single day. It
That's
is now part of their
awesome.
routine. Like they're straight up
Aw.
gamers now and they're constantly like texting us like, "Hey, when do you want to play volleyball?" Like they really want to like
Aw.
they want to play co-op or they want to play versus and they try to top each other's scores on their little leaderboards at the house and it when there's a moment like that and lots of folks remember, well, maybe lots of folks in our age category remember the phenomenon of the Wii and the Wii Sports game. It really is that moment for them where they're discovering this whole new form of technology and this whole new form of play and community, and it's resonating so deeply they're getting all of their friends to get Switches so they can
Oh my
play
God.
too. And that is just something just so beautiful because them and their friends are anywhere from 50 to 80 years old and they're all like raving about this game and this system, and I just love spreading the technology of gaming and spreading the joy of gaming and like the connectivity that it can bring, especially when they're mostly in their houses. Like they have a bubble of friends that they see safely and they're all vaccinated. However, this just gives them an additional set of activities that they can all enjoy together. And it's just so beautiful. And the quality is there. It's Nintendo. Like they're gonna make a really great game. They're gonna make something that's super fun and super replayable and you know really easy to understand for folks, even if they haven't held a controller before. They can play Switch Sports, and yeah, I just want to give it an honorable mention for how wonderful it's been in our lives and in our parents' lives, and I'm sure lots of folks out there. But yeah, Switch Sports. If you remember Wii Sports, it's that, but the next level, and they've made a lot of really great updates. And of course, the technology is even better than it was before. So,
I love that. Thank
yeah.
you for sharing it. Yeah, because
Yeah.
that I think it's an easy game to kind of write off and be like, yeah, it's Switch Sports, meh. But
Well, because
yeah,
it
you
feels like
forget,
it's just like a Switch upgrade of Wii Sports. And we talked about that when it came
right.
out, that it was like we were hoping that it would be like a little bit like elevated, but it really just feels like a one-to-one skin.
Yeah,
No,
but
it's
there's an
definitely
audience out there,
improved.
obviously. I mean, that's so cool, Ree, because now it's like the gateway drug. Now you
It
kind of
is.
you get your mom into Portal, I think is what
Ye-
you were saying last week or
I'm
whatever.
Wait,
definitely gonna
has
get
she
her into
tried it
Portal.
yet?
Not yet. I'm working on it.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll report back.
Yeah. Well, she
Yes.
can play it on her Switch now.
Yep.
She can. Yeah, they got bowling. We got them Clubhouse, which has a lot of different games in it.
Oh, that's a good one,
and
yeah.
yeah, they've been playing like there's a Yahtzee knockoff and darts and
What?
they've been,
Isn't
they
there
think they've been doing
actual
pool.
Yahtzee on the Switch? Doesn't Ubisoft
Probably.
own that?
Probably,
My
yeah.
gosh.
Now they
Yahtzee
wanna play
knockoff.
Family
See,
Feud,
Yahtzee is
too.
one of my personal family favorite games. So when I hear
Ooh,
there's a Yahtzee knockoff, I'm like, wait, what? Come on.
There are a
is.
bunch of actual licensed board game games on the Switch because we're trying to get Jason's mom into because she wants to play video games so bad, but she can't play,
Aw.
and I quote, complicated games like Mario. So we have to get her, something like she loves
It's
puzzle
the run.
games.
Honestly, the running and jumping.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I think we forget because we've been playing games for literally like decades, but that motion or that like learning is really hard. And if you were in your like 60s or 70s and someone's like, learn how to do this new thing, you'd be like, fuck no, I'm good.
No, listen, my dad has been playing video games as long as I have. He still cannot get the running and jumping thing down. Bless his heart. But then you have my grandma who's 81, 82, and she plays, JRPGs like it's nothing. I'm just saying, just throwing out there, Dad. I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, but I absolutely am throwing you under the bus. Anyway, great. That's awesome, Ree. Like I said, gateway drug. You're playing Portal. Before you know it, then Elden Ring next year. I want your parents
Next
playing
year.
Elden Ring.
2023. Let's do it.
Shit. Let's go. Well, thanks for that good call out because that's important
that's a
as
good
we
one.
move into the month of May, which was another very quiet month. Let's
was
just
a
say
month.
it was.
Yeah,
It
I
was a
played
month. Honestly, looking at this list, there was nothing in the month of May that was a Game of the Year contender.
No. So what I
No.
played from here is I still want to play Trek to Yomi, but I haven't played that yet. Not a Game of the Year contender. The one games I did play out of this was Salt and Sacrifice, which I haven't talked about on the show. Put about maybe 10 hours into it. Kind of a pretty big letdown because I loved Salt and Sanctuary. Again, one of my favorite co-op games. Just not a fan of what they did with Salt and Sacrifice, so sad about that. Andrea, you played Unpacking. You liked that quite a bit.
I did, but this is just the port of Unpacking to PlayStation. So I can't talk about, like, because Unpacking was, like, Indie Game of the Year for 2021.
Was it?
Yeah, but this is, like, just...
Oh, no.
This is just the PlayStation port, which is, like, I'm sure is fine, but, like, that game is... It's not like they did anything revolutionary. So, according to, like, the way that the, you know... If we're going to use Game Awards criteria, like, did they add something substantial, different, et cetera, to make it available or to make it eligible for reconsideration another year in a row? I would say no. But because there was, I mean, a bunch of other games that got different console ports, as Ree mentioned at the top of the show, that I think, you know, should be potentially considered. But one of the games that I want to try that came out in May that I've heard a lot about is Loot River. A lot of people talked really good things about this game, and so it's on my list. But Britt, you spent a lot of time with Sniper Elite 5.
Yeah, that was the other one I was going to call out. I love Sniper Elite 5. That was really fun, and they did a lot of great things with that one. But as far as Game of the Year contender, like, no. Is it one of the better shooters I played this year? Yeah, it might be the only shooter I played this year. I couldn't tell you.
Is that part of it? Maybe.
Maybe. Who could say? But no, I mean, again, like Sniper Elite 5, fantastic game. Super fun, really beautiful. The characters look like they're from last gen, but that's fine. The landscapes and the areas are, like, stunning.
But that's fine.
The gunplay is fine. And, you know, whatever. Again, like, it's fine. You got to enjoy games. Sometimes not every game is a goodie contender, and that's okay. You can still enjoy the shit out of it. But yeah, May is just kind of, you know... It was a month.
It was a
month. Shout out to Evil Dead. If you love Evil Dead, you'll love Evil Dead the game. If you like Dead by Daylight, if you like streaming and getting up to shenanigans with your friends, that's a game for you.
I just saw Ni no Kuni Cross Worlds. Duh.
Oh.
Ni no Kuni. One of my grandma's favorite games is Ni no Kuni. And Ni no Kuni 2, anything level 5. Dark Cloud, her favorites. And they kind of took Ni no Kuni and made it I think it's just a microtransaction riddled iOS game now with possible blockchain things. I don't know. Anywho, this just makes me sad. But enough about May. Andrea, May is a dumb month. Just our kids were born. That's fine. No big deal.
Just a dumb month where you were born and Ree was born.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's fine.
I forget about my birthday, and no offense for yours too, because all I can think about, my kid was born this month. Like it was a big
moment.
Your kid was born just 2 days apart from your birthday, though.
That's why I don't have a birthday anymore.
No, Brittany, we will forever celebrate Brittany's birthday. Where's that Powerline tank top, by the way?
Oh, it's actually in the dirty clothes because I wore it when I went to Northwest Trek over the weekend.
That's right. That's right, it is. That's right.
Ree, did you ever go to Northwest Trek when you were here?
No.
Oh, okay.
I didn't.
All right. Just a cute little zoo. No big deal.
I did used to have a Powerline t-shirt.
What happened to it?
I have no idea, actually. Now that I think about it.
Gotta get you a new one.
Twinsies.
I've been playing the Goofy movie for my baby.
Does she like it?
Not yet.
It's okay. Jace doesn't like it either.
She will.
I know. I feel like it's weird how babies gravitate towards certain cartoons and not others, but I think a lot of it has to do with right now she really just likes stuff with a lot of music in it or bright colors. And that has some music, but not enough music.
Yeah.
And because they haven't like remastered that, I mean, like they made it look nice for like Disney Plus or whatever, but they haven't like given it like a full like, you know, Last of Us Part 1 remake, you know, overall.
Yeah. I get it.
That or Final Fantasy VII, I should say, is probably a better comparison. Because Last of Us still, again, looks fine. It looks great. It looks good. Anyway, you know, if they do, then maybe she'll be like, ooh, what's happening with this Goofy character? Not Goofy. It's really all about his son. Anyway, I digress. Let's talk about a game. Can I be really honest? in a way that
Absolutely.
I'm almost a little embarrassed, to be honest.
Ooh.
The Quarry
Yes.
is a
Oh.
game
Oh, I have things to say about the Quarry.
that I did not know existed until like a month ago. And I don't know if that's a fail on their PR and marketing team or if they literally just announced it, because I was looking this game up and the announcement trailer is listed as March 2022. So I'm like, okay, that was not that many months ago. March was just like 3 months ago. Did they literally just announce this game? I don't have a
feel like-
single press release about this game. I didn't get any outreach about this game, and that doesn't
Okay.
mean that this game isn't good, or because clearly a lot of people are talking about this game, and I'm like, I feel like I should know more about this game, but I know nothing about this game.
I just pulled up some old ass notes from January 2022, and on here
Mhm.
it says that you played the Quarry. Is that right? In January
In
2022?
January.
How is that
No.
possible? The
I
game
don't
was
know, it
announced
is
in
now.
March.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Like, how is that even a thing? Okay, because what I like to do is like to
It
go
might
through
have been
all of
I
our
was
show notes.
anticipating.
I don't know. I
What?
like to go through all of our old show notes and be like, have we not talked about this before? And then yeah, it says the Quarry, January 2022, but that doesn't make any sense. Oh well, maybe you were like prophetry.
I would love to think that I was being a prophet. That's
Yeah.
exciting. No, it was officially unveiled on March 18th, 2022.
Mm.
So yeah, a short runway for the marketing outreach for sure.
But the Quarry also got a lot of shout outs for people's personal game of the or personal whatever game of the year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone's
I wanna
comparing
play.
it to Until Dawn.
I just don't want the stress right now. It just sounds like I'm gonna be too anxious. I know I'm gonna get a whole bunch of people killed, and oh my god, I just want to tend to my crops in Rune Factory. You know what I mean?
Totally fair. I will say, of course, the Quarry comes from Supermassive, so Until Dawn comparisons are
Yes.
absolutely
I
fair.
mean, same team, right? Yeah.
Yeah, same team, same genre, same formula, honestly, but it is done so much better, and it's not a downplay of how great, or at least how impactful, Supermassive's other projects have been. However, the Quarry really just kind of takes the best of all of it and puts it all together. Now, I will say the facial animation and motion capture is not as successful as, let's say, Horizon Forbidden West. However, it's really, really exciting, and it's fun to see another game in this vein of, choose your own adventure, right? But for today, for 2022. And they have a really slick overlay theme of, like a VHS tape era. There's this sort of like subplot of this duo that's making a podcast about all of the supernatural things that are going on, which is very fun, as somebody who knows a lot about podcasting and listens to quite a few of them myself. And it's a really great opportunity to just kind of like jump into something either with friends or on your own. They have a co-op mode where you can pass the controller, or you could play, everybody shouts out their choice, and the person with the controller tries their best to navigate the temperature of the room, and figure out who you want to save, or who you think you can save, or what type of person you want each character to play as. And it's very fun. So many different branching narratives. Obviously, if the replayability is your thing, there's all kinds of different endings where like everybody lives, or everybody dies, or everybody turns into a monster. Like
Ooh.
all of the above, and different kinds of combinations and mixtures. And even the end credits will be different depending on how you play through the game. So it's one of those where if you like the horror genre, which I don't, you will absolutely enjoy it. I've been told there's lots of references. It definitely harkens back to, teens get up to shenanigans in the woods and then they start dying, and what's going on, and something deeper going on. But wonderful performances despite the animation quirks that obviously we've seen posts of on Twitter and Reddit. And you really do root for a lot of the characters. I, of course, had my favorites, and they changed throughout the story. Like there's somebody who I absolutely hated at the beginning of the game, and I was rooting for them so hard by the end. I was like, everyone can die as long as they live. Like, so it's really fun. You really do get to know them and, shape them in the way that you think they should be shaped. And it's a lot of fun. So I would highly recommend it if you can get past the horror part of it, which, I did this a couple times. Like, it was fine.
Do you think what they're doing with the genre is different enough from what we've seen already with Until Dawn and the Dark Pictures anthology to earn them a spot for a nom, or you're like, no, it's just more good stuff, but like nothing innovative?
Depends on the category. If there's a category that has
Narrative,
room for something,
narrative is the only
like that.
category to me that stands out for this game. Like they would only be probably nominated for narrative.
So I could see a nomination for narrative being justified. They have a very interesting sort of like rewind mechanic that they've introduced, and I'm using that in the context of the VHS sort of overlay, and I won't go into further detail about that, so just in case people want to go in a little bit more fresh. But there's definitely surprises. There's things that you would not have expected them to do. It's not a game where you can see through the design as easily as previous iterations they've made. Like, you think you're going to save so-and-so because you gave them a gun. No, you didn't. Like, it really does sort of play
Oh.
with you as the player a lot more. And I think for that reason, it is definitely innovating in a new way, even within the genre, and even within other games from Supermassive. So I could see that being justified.
Okay.
How if I fuck up, if I do a thing. Now I see what you're saying. Like, let's say I give someone
Yeah.
like a gun like 2 hours before and it manifests.
Yeah.
And it turns out, hurt them more than it helped them. You can't really like rewind that probably and fix it. But how easy is it to fix up your fuck ups?
You might be able to.
Okay. Okay. See, that makes me more excited about playing it because, like, it's like when I play Life is Strange. I want everyone to be
Oh,
happy. I want everyone to
yeah.
be alive. Like, if I don't, it gives me anxiety. And that's literally the reason why I have not played this game yet, is I'm just like, I just can't deal with the stress of it. But
I think you will be able to deal with it given the way they've implemented new mechanics in this iteration.
okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Without having to like reload old saves or like hard crash just to get back to something else.
Okay, good. No, that's wonderful feedback. Okay, cool. Yay.
Mhm.
There's no time for scum saving anymore. Just
No.
whoever dies, dies. It's just the
you
way
can
it
play
is.
that way. if you
Just
want.
the way it is. All right, well, we're
You
getting
have to
to
sing
the...
Brenda's song. You just absolutely have to. She's a decom queen, okay?
Okay, fair.
Can't let her
fair. I think we're getting close to the end of our conversation of Game of the Year so far, but we would be remiss if we didn't talk about a game that Brittany has already mentioned on the show. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Heroes in a Half Shell. Total Power.
Power. Look at us. There's the theme song. That's it. That's us.
We're the
Yeah.
olds. Yeah, we're the olds. It's fine.
Again, like, this game's getting a lot of love. Got a ton of love upon its release. Still is getting folks saying like, "Oh yeah, it's my game of the year," which is awesome. I mean, again, this is kind of the sort of game. For me, I loved playing it. I was a one and done kind of gal. I was like, "This is great." I have no desire to go back to it. But if this is like what, flips up your skirt, tickles your fancy, flips your switch, all that shit, I could see, like, how this could easily be a game of the year contender for you. It does what it's set out to do perfectly. I don't know, what more you would want from a game that's supposed to feel like an old school retro beat 'em up. It has progression, it has replayability, it has all your favorite characters that feel so unique. The music is just like, ugh, it's so good. Yeah. So I mean, I totally get it. I get the shout outs and I get the love. And I think it's definitely worthy of a spot on the list somewhere. Where it wants to find its home, who could say, but it deserves its spot. That's what I have to say
Agreed.
about that.
Yeah, I don't know where this game would fit, like what category it would fit in.
We
Family?
need to make a category.
Family
Co-op?
game, maybe, yeah.
Co-op?
I did
Co-op
see,
is really smooth.
I
really
did see
easy.
a really fun viral video of a dad who had like made an emulator cabinet with like the old school arcade
cool.
with like the 4 joystick setups, and he was like trying to get his son to like play the game with him, and his son like was too busy like on his phone or something, and he was like, but I've made this thing, and it made me kind of sad because I spent so many years like playing the Turtles game like at the Skateland arcade machine.
Yeah.
And I was like, God bless you, random dad who went through all the trouble to put this together. Your son doesn't know what he's freaking missing.
No. I wish that's something we could download into our kids' brains, even the youth. Not even just our kid, the
Yeah.
youth. Like, your phone is cool. Lots of cool things you can do on your phone, but the memories with your loved ones when you can take it playing Turtles with your dad on that emulated thing he made will be a very, very fond memory of yours 50 years from now. But no, you're too busy looking at Instagram and Joe Schmo's latest haircut and his weird, stupid fucking dance that he stole from someone.
Yeah. I hope that maybe our kids will look back on their time and be like, do you remember when we used to like do viral dances on TikTok and we all would do the same dance moves and upload our dances together? Is that what our kids are going to be talking about in like 30 years?
Yeah, probably.
I was hoping they would be burned out of it by then. I thought that's what you meant. Because like, I feel, maybe I'm wrong. I'm just out of touch. But, the way kids today feel like Facebook's really stupid, I'm hoping all social media will be considered stupid.
Yeah,
by the time
there'll
our
be
kids are
something.
old
I
enough.
really
Right.
hope to God it doesn't take that long. Can social media be considered stupid in like 2 years from now? Can we just be done? Can we just be done with social media? Like I do social media because I
Yes.
like being part of the conversation and I like hearing what other people are saying and watching other people's stuff. But like if social media went away, I think I'd be okay with it. I think I'd be okay with it. Is that
I would
controversial to
be.
say?
It tells me
No.
what to buy so often.
No, I mean, like,
I
it's all
mean,
about
the algorithm will always be there for you, Ree. Like,
Okay.
don't
I
worry.
need
The
it.
robots will tell you what to buy no matter what.
Please.
But, like,
uninstall all social media from your phone for like 3 days. It might sound like a lot, but I promise you can do it. You will be surprised by how much better you might feel, what you do with your spare time. You might not realize how much time you're spending worrying about what other people are doing instead of living your own life.
That's
So,
true. I
yeah,
do it
there.
when I go on vacation. I usually delete it.
All things are okay in moderation. It can be a relaxing thing to do, but I think some people get so wrapped up in it before they know it. You've spent 4 hours a day looking at what people are doing on Twitter. That's 28 hours a week. That's a lot of fucking hours a month that you'll never get back. That you
listen, how I spend my time looking at Amazon influencer pages is my own business, okay?
it is.
I need the organizational gadget that they're selling me today for my pantry, for my laundry room, for my refrigerator. No, I don't. I'm being facetious.
I know. It's
I'm
that
not.
thing.
I actually just got some of those today.
You live your best life.
Did
ladies
I
and
just
gentlemen. I'm not
buy
here to judge you.
organizational caddy to go in my crisper
I'm judging
drawer
all of
to to organize all the different fast food packets that I have? Maybe. Now
all
the
coping,
sweet and
Andrea.
sour sauces have their own bin.
Oh, we're all
If
coping.
this brings you joy, this brings you joy. Okay.
I love you, and we're all coping.
It's all one giant coping mechanism.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
This is how John gets off like his 10-hour meeting making important business decisions. He's like, honey, what'd you do today? Well, let me tell you. Have you looked at the sweet and sour packets?
They have their own bin, honey. They
The
have their own
crisper, they're the
bin.
crisper.
The string cheese now has its own bin.
Now we can stand upright. You can grab one at a time.
It's restock o'clock, okay?
Oh, God. Oh, fuck.
Oh my goodness. It's not my fault that one of the few things I can do with the baby during the day is organize something, because she'll come into the pantry with me and she takes great joy in taking all of her individual crackers out of the box and putting them back in the box and then leaving them on the floor and then putting them back in the box and then leaving them on the floor. And while she's busy doing that over and over again, I'm like, I should probably find something to organize in this room so I can keep eyes on her. And lo and behold, one shelf at a time, my pantry's getting organized.
It's teamwork.
Bless you. That is teamwork. That's mother and daughter teamwork right there. She encourages you to be a better version of yourself.
She does. She's like, Mom, didn't you want to put this apple juice on the floor? I'm pretty sure you wanted to put these individual apple juices on the floor one at a time, right? And I was like, yes,
Oh my
baby.
God.
I absolutely did.
Fucking kids.
Anyway, there's definitely more games to come. I think we covered all of the games that were in the WGG community poll with the exception of Weird West, which got 2.1% of the vote. By the way, the same as Tunic and Sifu and Lego and Kirby all tied at 2.1%. Weird West is a game that I saw at an event, really liked, never actually got to play. So it's on my list to do before the end of the year. But we also have some games coming up that we're not going to spend time discussing right now because this is the game of the year so far. But games that could contend with Elden Ring. Really, that's the conversation, right? So we've got one of my personal faves that I'm looking forward to, Bayonetta 3, coming from Platinum and Nintendo. A game that is going to probably outsell everything this year, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. But once again, will not be part of the Game of the Year consideration because Call of Duty never is, despite the fact that they do amazing, innovative design work on their games every year. Callisto Protocol is the goriest thing that I feel like I'm going to have to play but don't want to play.
I can play it for you.
Yes,
you can watch me play.
Yes. And then you, Brittany, will have to remind me in the months to come about what the fuck Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the kind of the hard thing of upcoming games that can actually compete with Elden Ring. King Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. No, it can't. And that makes me sad. It's too niche.
Overwatch 2?
Overwatch 2 isn't on this list, but I don't think it can compete for Game of the Year because of the way they're releasing it this time, right? So we've already gotten a beta. It's gonna be like a slow roll, and that's the way they should release it. But doing a game release like that makes it tough to win Game of the Year unless you have like a de facto like retail release of like this is the final build of the game, and that's why it's tough for multiplayer games that are live service games to really compete in the Game of the Year category. Well, really multiplayer games in general, which makes that fucking EA tweet even more hysterical. But I mean, I think that Overwatch 2 will probably be more in the conversations for next year than this year. Because they're the beta or the early access starts in September?
I don't fucking know.
Because there was like a small preview period, right, where people just played, but then they're going to open it again later in the year. I don't know when the official launch of that game is.
Yes, I'm not the Overwatch person. But, while she's looking that up, there are some, I think games that are going to win certain categories. I think about Xenoblade Chronicles 3, come out in the end of July. Temtem, which I think could really pick up steam if more people play it. In some ways, it's a better Pokemon than Pokemon. Speaking of Pokemon, you have Scarlet and Violet coming out in November. The Callisto Protocol we talked about, A Plague Tale Requiem. And then, of course, Bayonetta 3 and God of War Ragnarok. Now, I think if anything is going to dethrone Elden Ring, we talked about this at the top of the show. Yeah.
Or should I say God of War? Dead of War.
Do you want to give a shout out to Forspoken?
Forspoken, I think
Didn't that get delayed until 2023?
Did it? I thought it was still October. So was Overwatch.
Wait, no, you're right. You're right. It did get pushed to October, but for some reason I thought it got pushed to 2023.
Everything's getting pushed, baby.
So I think Forspoken is a big unknown. I honestly don't think, even if that game came out and was a revelation, that it could overcome the tidal wave of influence that Elden Ring has going into the Game of the Year considerations. I think it would be a game that everyone's like, yo, this game is brilliant. Why didn't everybody play it? I don't, for some reason, feel like it's that game. You know why? Because they haven't given anybody hands-on with it. And that to me is a giant red flag. As somebody who has been covering video games for a very long time, if you're not giving any press hands-on with your game that comes out in, checks watch, 3 months, 4 months, doesn't really bode well for reviews. Yeah. But I will give you one exception to that rule. Literally one exception in my entire fucking career. And it was God of War 2018.
Well,
yeah. But they gave us hands-on in April. But then the game came out, in
the month after, no?
June?
I couldn't tell you. My memory's like fucking terrible. Also, if you look at just kind of Game of the Year winners throughout the years, and this is according to the Game Awards, right? 2014, I'm going to go up. You had
No,
Dragon
no,
Age
the game came
Inquisition.
out in April. My bad. They gave us hands-on in like January.
So 2014 was Dragon Age Inquisition, 2015 Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, then you had Overwatch, Breath of the Wild, God of War, Sekiro, Last of Us Part 2, It Takes Two. Besides that last one, It Takes Two, very well established IPs, and I feel like it's just really hard for something brand new to come out and kind of like sweep that award. But just a little interesting observation there.
I will give a quick Dark Horse run to Neon White. I haven't played it, but I've been hearing so many people talk about it.
Yeah, samesies.
Lots of samesies. But I guess like here's like the real question here. God of War comes out this year. Let's just like assume it's happening.
Yeah.
What's gonna win? God of War Ragnarok, knowing what we know about Sony Santa Monica, or Elden Ring?
I think God of War because of recency. Like people will just have it fresher in their minds, and Elden Ring, if people were going to bounce off of it, they would have by then, of course. We already have. So
yeah.
It's gonna be, I don't know, man. I feel like Elden Ring just has that and maybe it's because I just came back to it, but I feel like it still has a lot of momentum. Although I will say I don't get invaded as much as I used to, so maybe that's a sign.
Maybe this is my time to go back to the game. Now that all like the hardcore Souls bros have been like, oh, I gotta move on to something else.
You know what you need to get, Andrea, is the ring that summons a hunter to your world to help you against an invader if you don't have that yet.
Well, when I'm playing solo, I just turn the multiplayer function off.
That's true.
That's true. I will say is like a blessing and a curse, because like some of the messages are good, but like so many of them are just shit that like I didn't feel regret turning it off.
Word.
So, like, turning the multiplayer off really changes the experience, because turning off all those little splotches, those red and white splotches all over the world, makes the world so much more beautiful. It makes the experience so much more immersive. This is what, again, From Software, you could have fixed it. You didn't have to make it such shit.
There she goes, ladies and gentlemen.
I should be able to like play with my friends and not have to deal with all your bullshit. Let me just turn it off with a toggle. Like, let me just turn off the in-game messages. And these little random ghost people that appear out of nowhere when I'm like trying to like solve a puzzle, and there's like some random ghost on a horse like running into a wall. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Who is this? Why is this person in my game? Who designed this fucking gameplay mechanic? This is stupid. That's right. I said it. Stupid.
Feel better?
Not really.
I hope you feel better.
No, because I just want to play the game and enjoy it.
So I have 2 points that might work against God of War, and I'm just throwing out there for devil's advocate.
But why?
Because it's fun.
Okay.
That's what we're all about. First one is that it is a console exclusive. Not that it might not mean too much, but it is. Elden Ring is it's everywhere except for the Switch. It's on a few extra platforms.
The Switch can't run that shit. We all know it.
Could you imagine? It would look like
no, I cannot. It'd be a fucking tire fire.
The second one is that God of War Ragnarok is going to be a sequel. And I feel like because God of War 2018 was such a masterpiece, that for them to match what they did there is going to be very hard. And we know how fucking salty people can get. And just because it's a sequel doesn't mean it's going to be better. And so that could also work for it, but also it could work against it. So I could see Elden Ring winning, but I can also see God of War. Fuck.
I will put forth The Last of Us Part 2 as an example of a sequel that arguably outdid its predecessor.
Agreed.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, I personally liked the story of the original Last of Us better, but The Last of Us Part 2 did a lot of things better than the original game, and the original game was really good. Excuse me. It was very, very well done.
That was nice. Yeah, so I mean, those points I make can work for it or against it. So we'll just have to see, but I could see it going either way. I feel like just everyone's sucking Elden Ring's dick, man. They're just so far down it.
Oh yeah, I think this is a foregone conclusion that Elden Ring is going to win. When Starfield was still in 2022, that to me was the only game that could potentially dethrone Elden Ring for Game of the Year. But now that they've bumped to 2023, oh no, this is literally Elden Ring's to lose. But that does not mean that there's not a lot of wonderful games to play and that there's not a ton of fun to be had. Rihanna and I have been playing Outriders. We're going to talk about World Slayer on the podcast next week. It's going to be great. And Britt, you've been playing some other things.
Oh, Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hope. Shout out to my girls. Hold on, I got your name. Sindel, Bridget, and Devin, who also nominated Fire Emblem Warriors as their game of the year. I am right there with you. Claude, husbando for life. I had to get that out. Thank you.
Good. I'm glad. Well,
that's what I've been playing.
We'll hear more about your husbandos on the show. And the beauty of video games is regardless of which developer takes home a trophy to put on a mantle that literally nobody is going in to see because work from home. We as a community are enjoying some of the best video games that have ever been made in the history of gaming, and the art form is just getting better every year. And I know we say, but damn, it's a good time to be a gamer. Brittany, let's try to have a moment.
I know, and I'm sorry, but the gas was going for
she
no
has
one.
to be herself.
I just feel so. You got me so excited, Andrea. I felt so comfortable listening to your smooth, buttery voice, getting me all emotional that it just slipped out.
Thank you.
You're right. Like it's fun to have these conversations, and obviously there is a point where people take it a little too far and they get a little too invested into the medium, and then it becomes problematic and toxic. But it's fun to be like, oh, what's gonna win, Elden Ring or God of War? Well, this reason, that reason. Oh, but at the end of the day, like, oh, what a terrible problem to have. Two fantastic, phenomenal, assuming God of War will be, video games that are going up against each other and push each other to be better. And that's fucking great. At the end of the day, we're all just sitting on our asses pushing buttons on a controller. Don't take it so seriously. Just enjoy it. Have fun.
I'll just be over here in a corner lamenting how Horizon should actually be the game of the year and no one's voting for it, and be sad about it.
You can vote for it.
And I will.
Nope. Oh, God, yeah. Like when she's all fired up.
Yeah.
Fired up.
I'm gonna do it. Yeah. Don't threaten me. You're not threatening me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on our game of the year so far. We obviously want to hear what you think is going to be the game of the year, or what your personal game of the year so far is. Leave us a comment below. Tweet to us at what'sgood_games. Or, of course, write to us on patreon.com/what'sgoodgames and let us know your thoughts. And speaking of Twitter, if you guys have made it all the way to the end of the episode and you're still listening to the sound of our voices and our burps, apparently, we've been publishing a lot more videos on Twitter. And if you guys want to see some fun clips, behind the scenes stuff, if you're not already following us at what'sgood_games, please do. Hopefully you'll enjoy what you see. And thanks for listening. See you next week, everybody. Bye.